Shout out to the YouTube too. All right, we getting into some more reacts. Let's get it rolling. All right, we finna react to a Tub video. Shout out to Tub. Snapchat Darkest Corners. All right, come on.
What are you doing, man? No.
Streaming.
Now for today's video, we're going to be talking about the social media app known as Snapchat. Now, from Unk perspective, I don't use that app anymore. I haven't used it in like half a decade. But I'm aware that a lot of you youngins, for some reason, still use Snapchat. I mean, I don't know how you haven't moved on to Instagram or just mainly using it. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is, I've been wanting to cover Snapchat for a long time now. I mean, I'm on this journey of trying to cover every dark side of every social media. And there are some outliers like Twitter, for example. Twitter's just a cesspool. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to make a video on that one. But when it came to Snapchat, it's kind of niche. Like, it really is kind of niche to find dark stories that have happened on Snapchat. I mean, don't get me wrong. We were able to do it in this video, but there's a reason this one isn't named The Dangerous World of Snapchat Criminals, because not every story I'm going to tell you guys today is about a criminal. Some of these people were just victims. And don't even worry about subscribing. I will earn your subscription by the end of this video. So we're starting off with Corby Eisman, the man that used SnapMap to be a creep. Now, I know what you guys are thinking.
Bro, I watched King of the Hill last night, right? That shit funny. That shit funny as fuck, bro. The first episode was a pilot, right?
Yeah.
That shit was funny as fuck, bro. He was like, damn it, I love you because you my boy. That shit was funny as fuck. We gotta watch that shit, bro.
Bro, I'm gonna watch it.
I'm on episode 2, bro.
Well, half the people that are using SnapMap are probably creeps. And to that I say, yeah, you're probably right. I just wanted to...
Marquette. What you watching it on?
Website.
Oh, all right.
out of the way before I tell you the story. In late 2022, Corby Eisman, a 25-year-old man from Flagler County, Florida, contacted a 16-year-old girl through Snapchat. At first, the messages seemed like typical online small talk, but what the girl didn't know was that behind the scenes, Eisman was doing much more than just having a casual conversation. He was actually tracking her every move. He had been doing so by combining Snapchat's SnapMap feature with metadata embedded in her stories. This allowed him to pinpoint her exact location. So the SnapMap feature basically allows users to post photos publicly and share real-time location with their friends, or like in this case, someone random that they're chatting with. Like I was saying, on Snapchat, there are two ways to publicly put yourself out there. So you can post a story and toggle whether you want your location on for it, and then random people can like zoom in on the Snapchat map and just see what's going on, for example, at a college campus, and see people's stories that have publicly toggled that setting. And you can separately also have your location always on, and that allows your friends to see exactly where you're at. I always thought that feature was insanely creepy. So if you haven't already, I strongly suggest enabling ghost mode. So yeah, Eisman didn't need much else. And he didn't just know the location and stop there. No. He used it to physically locate the girl. He arranged to meet her, and then, in an even more disturbing twist, he essayed her. Oh, and it gets worse. He didn't essay her just once. He did so repeatedly in his home and vehicle over a 2-month period. Now the Flagler County...
This nigga's a freak ball. He got on Snapchat to find a nigga location. What's wrong with people? No, real talk. Bro, every video I react to is always some freak ball ass niggas.
Office began investigating on August 31st, 2022 after receiving a report of a possible sexual offense involving a teenage girl and an older male. According to the victim, Eisman said he was 19. Yeah, the man was lying about his age, and he was fully aware that she was underage. Flagler County Sheriff Rick Staley stated, "This is exactly why we encourage everyone to be very cautious of what you post on social media and the platforms you use." He went on to caution that something as, quote, innocent as a picture, which gives out your location, can put you in front of people that would be eager to victimize you. He also encouraged parents to sort of pay more attention to social media and how their kids use it. You know, the usual but important stuff like talking to them about safety while being online, finding out what they're doing online, and cautioning them on how quickly that seemingly innocent post can make them a victim. Anyway, Eisman was arrested on September 1st of 2022 and charged with felony sexual battery on a victim under 17 years of age. He was later released on a $40,000 bond from the Sheriff Perry Hall inmate detention facility.
And this nigga got bond and somebody paid that shit. Bro, lock that nigga away and keep him there forever. Finding locations through Snapchat is actually devious work. That nigga, there's something wrong with him.
Wow, that was a mouthful. As of the latest available information, on February 12th of 2024, Eisman pleaded guilty to 1 count of unlawful sexual activity with certain minors. He was sentenced to 2 years in a Department of Corrections facility, followed by 8 years of sex offender probation. Now the Flagler County Sheriff's Office, after urging parents to closely monitor their children's internet and social media activity and all that, commended the major case unit for their work in building a solid case against Eisman, which led to the conviction. Alejandro Marquez abused the quick ad feature. Next up is a rather unsettling story of how a 27-year-old man from Albuquerque, New Mexico, used Snapchat to prey on an 11-year-old girl. This happened in the summer of 2022 when the guy, Marquez, used the app's quick ad feature, a tool designed to help users find new friends to befriend the girl. Apparently, Marquez offered the girl money to meet up in person, which...
What's up with these niggas using Snapchat to find little girls? They, like, bro, what's the process going through their brain? Like, I want to know, because what the fuck is wrong with these freak ball ass niggas?
Unfortunately did. Sadly, that was just the beginning.
This is the second pred already going through Snapchat location.
Over several meetings, he essayed her multiple times before the victim's family discovered what had been happening and intervened by contacting law enforcement. The case moved swiftly through the justice system, and in August of 2023, Marquez pled guilty to the serious charges including criminal essay of a child under 13, criminal sexual contact of a minor, solicitation, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. The judge sentenced him to 18 years in prison, followed by sex offender probation, parole, and lifetime registration of a sex offender. But this case is more than...
Again, that's not enough time. 18 years is not enough time. Get that nigga 30 plus.
This one man's crime. It's been said to be a highlight of a much bigger problem with Snapchat and social media platforms in general, a problem that needs stopping.
I swear, niggas that do sexual crimes need to be chemically castrated. If people were chemically castrated, a nigga would think twice before doing that shit.
Some have tried because...
Can't live without your nuts.
Mexico's Attorney General, Raul Torres, took stand in 2024 by filing a lawsuit against Snap Incorporated, the company behind Snapchat. The lawsuit alleged that Snapchat's features, especially Quick Ad, make it dangerously easy for predators to find and exploit children. It also argued that the app's design encourages quick, casual conversations without strong age verification or safety checks, allowing predators like Marquez to slip through the cracks. What's worse, going by the same lawsuit, is that Snapchat promotes the idea that messages disappear forever, giving users a false sense of security. Actually, on that, investigators found that predators can save and share explicit images indefinitely, so not really gone forever. Also, nothing stopping the good old use another phone to take a picture of the screen. That's actually something that came up after the New Mexico Department of Justice's undercover work uncovered a disturbing network of dark websites trading stolen Snapchat images, many involving minors. They even created a fake Snapchat account pretending to be a 14-year-old girl named Heather, which quickly attracted messages from accounts like child.rword and PDF file lover. With a username like PDF file lover, doesn't that mean that you love PDF files? Isn't that... I don't know, I just thought that was interesting while reading this. Also, Marquez's exploitation of Snapchat's features and the resulting abuse of the child sparked wider scrutiny of social media platforms' responsibility to protect minors, not just on Snapchat. The New Mexico Department of Justice...
I mean, yeah, because Snapchat should have a feature to where grown-ass men couldn't be talking to minors. It's not that hard to build into your system.
Lawsuit, for instance, followed a similar legal action against Meta Platforms for enabling child exploitation. Also, law enforcement agencies in New Mexico have increased efforts to combat online child exploitation through operations like Operation Overwatch, which led to arrests of suspected predators using social media tools to target minors. The Ahmed and Colin case, their kidnap, torture, and murders made it onto Snapchat. This one happened a few years ago, also in Albuquerque, New Mexico, but it was just one of those cases that kept getting worse the deeper you looked into it. It involved two teenagers, 14-year-old Ahmed Latif and 15-year-old Colin Romero, and it starts the same way as the other stories we talked about, on Snapchat. So let's start in December of 2018. Colin's mother, Kimbrell, reported him missing right before Christmas after she had heard about a Snapchat video and picture showing her son and his friend Ahmed being beaten. A friend had also called her and expressed concern that Colin had gone to buy marijuana but never returned. The video showed the teens being pistol whipped, unconscious, and possibly suffering broken bones. At the time of his death, Ahmed also had a felony out for his arrest and was an alleged absconder of the law. Now, the story that unfolded after is even more disturbing. Ahmed Latif, according to investigators, had tried to buy a gun. He apparently reached out to someone through Snapchat and was allegedly looking to arm himself for some kind of retaliation on a guy named Flex. That person that he contacted on Snapchat was Stephen Goldman Jr., 22 at the time. But then Godman wasn't a lone gun salesman, he was a part of a trio that would later accost him. From the reports, Goldman Jr., along with 19-year-old Jimmy Atkins, nicknamed Flex, and 18-year-old Julio Almentero, lured Ahmed and Colin out to the West Mesa area in an apartment drug deal. Once in the car, Ahmed and Colin were ambushed. They were beaten, tortured, and then executed. Ahmed was shot 19 times, Colin 9 times, and their body...
Damn, 19 times? Was the first 9 times not enough? You unloaded the whole damn clip on that nigga. Mag dumped. You trying to send that nigga back to the lobby for real?
Be found until weeks later, when they were discovered buried in a shallow grave in San Diego County. The investigation led to the arrest and conviction of 3 individuals, Stephen Goldman Jr., Jimmy Atkins, and Julio Almentero. All 3 were found guilty of first-degree murder, kidnapping, armed robbery, and tampering with evidence. In May of 2023, they were each sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms, plus additional years in prison. Additional individuals faced charges for their roles after the murders. Stephen Goldman Sr., father of Stephen Goldman Jr., helped conceal evidence by burning the car used to dispose of the bodies and accepted a plea deal resulting in a 4-year prison sentence. Julio Almentero's uncle, Anthony Aragon, assisted in dumping and burying of the bodies and was sentenced to 6 years in prison. The Liam Birchfield case. Got addicted to Snapchat until he offed himself. This next story centers on 17-year-old Liam Birchfield from Tennessee, whose life was tragically cut short on July 6 of 2021. But before we get to that day, let's rewind a little bit to where it all started. For context, Liam enjoyed playing his guitar and planned to join the United States Air Force after high school. Like many teens, he started using Snapchat and Instagram in middle school. At first, it was just for fun, sharing snaps with friends, chatting, and scrolling through stories. Nothing unusual there. But over time, this grew into something so much darker. According to the lawsuit filed by his family in 2022, Liam became addicted to Snapchat. He would spend late nights scrolling through feeds, messaging strangers, and chasing snap streaks. Those daily message chains that Snapchat rewards, which can feel like a game but also a pressure to keep going. His family noticed he was pulling away, becoming anxious and depressed. They tried to help, but Liam was caught in a cycle he just couldn't break. What made things worse was the kind of content Liam was watching. The lawsuit revealed that he was exposed to firearm-related material on Snapchat, which he somehow found fascinating. Now, this toxic mix led Liam to start and despite his family's efforts, his mental health really spiraled. In the weeks before July 6th, Liam's family watched helplessly as his condition worsened. They sought counseling and tried to limit his phone use, but all that was futile. Then, on that tragic day, Liam died from a self-inflicted...
Take the nigga phone. Don't give him access to a phone. You go and pay a counselor to limit his phone time. Take that nigga phone.
Gunshot wound. His family's lawsuit argues that Snapchat failed to warn users about the risks of addiction and exposure to harmful content. Instead, the platform prioritized keeping users engaged, using features like disappearing messages and algorithm-driven content recommendations that trap teens like Liam in cycles of compulsive use. Now, Liam's story is one of many that are fueling lawsuits against social media giants like Snap Incorporated and Meta Platforms, just like we saw in the previous case. And these cases claim the companies designed their apps to be addictive and knowingly expose teens to damaging content, making it difficult for parents to protect their kids. The CJ Dolly case. Self-consciousness due to social media led to a devastating end. For the second time in this video, we're diving into a case where Snapchat led to depression.
If your kid is not old enough to have Snapchat, add some restrictions to the phone.
Which led to a devastating end. In this case, 17-year-old CJ Dolly, a high school senior from the small town of Salem, Wisconsin, was the victim. On January 4th of 2015, CJ fatally shot himself, leaving behind a note written on the back of his college acceptance letter. His story is that back in December of 2014, CJ started having pain in his legs and became convinced something was seriously wrong with his body. Fast forward to that day in January, while his family took down Christmas decorations, he went to his room, texted his best friend Godspeed, posted "Who Turned Out the Light" on Facebook, and wrote a goodbye note on the envelope of his college acceptance letter. He then picked up a .22 caliber rifle on one hand and held his phone in the other and shot himself. His family thought he was sleeping, and that meant no one close to him knew what happened until 5 hours later when his sister went to check on him. Now, CJ had been using Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat since 2012, starting from when he was just 14. And over time, according to his parents, Chris and Donna, they saw changes. His phone, for example, was always with him. He started staying up until 3 a.m. on school nights, became more withdrawn, and more anxious about his appearance. And what really alarmed them was when they discovered that he'd been exchanging explicit photos. But despite that, CJ never showed the typical warning signs. He worked worked as a busboy at Texas Roadhouse in Kenosha, Wisconsin, balancing his job with a deep love for golf and a passion for watching Doctor Who, a standout student. He also caught the attention of top-tier colleges across the country. His mother, Donna Dolly, said his counselors said he could get a free ride anywhere he wanted to go. Interestingly, after his death, his parents started piecing together what had really been going on behind the screen, and in April of 2022, they filed a lawsuit against Meta Platforms and Snap Inc., accusing both companies of knowingly designing their platforms to be addictive, especially to teens. According to them, CJ had been hooked by features like infinite scroll, algorithmic content loops, and Snapchat's trophy system, and that was all tied in with growing pressure around body image and messaging. The lawsuit points to internal research, some of which came out after whistleblower Frances Haugen's testimony, showing that Meta knew how harmful Instagram was to teens but downplayed it. Snap, for its part, responded by saying Snapchat was built to connect real-life friends and offered in-app mental health tools, but neither company has commented directly on CJ's case since the litigation is still ongoing. Now, for CJ's story, apparently dozens of other families have joined the same lawsuit, all saying the same thing, that their kids were pulled into a digital world that was never built with their safety in mind. The group representing them is called the Social Media Victims Law Center. The France case. Tracked and stabbed the guy he found with his girlfriend. Again,
okay, so it's on the company and the parents at the same time, because the company, they made their app addicting, but the parents at the same time should watch what their kids are doing online and put better restrictions so incidents like this won't happen.
Into the Snap Map feature, and the controversy that erupted shortly after it was launched on Wednesday, June 2017. To recap, this feature allows users to share their real-time location with friends on a map, showing exactly where they are at any given moment. Shortly after,
See, in Snapchat implementing that into their app, that was bound for downfall, for the biggest downfall. Why would you put live location on your app?
launch, reports surfaced in Utah that SnapMap was
along with Quick Add, where you can add random people.
Party crashers.
That's why
Teens and young adults were looking through pictures or videos on SnapMap to find parties, then heading to the area and driving around until they found the house. Once there, some either stole or broke items. Parents and child safety advocates were quick to raise the alarm. Many pointed out that SnapMap's default settings made it easy for users, especially minors, to share their locations with a broad circle of friends. The app's ghost mode, which disables location sharing, was off by default, meaning users were unknowingly exposing themselves. Experts warned that predators no longer needed to physically stalk children. They could simply open an app and see exactly where vulnerable users were in real time. Now the months that followed were even crazier with stories, and it got really dark. One such case is a case from France where a guy stalked his girlfriend and went on to stab the guy that he found with his girl. So why am I just saying the guy and not saying any actual names? Well, my team and I found this article and it's all French, so we used Google Translate, and even they didn't say their names for some reason, but all my sources will be linked down below. For context, SnapMap had quickly found a very interesting use at the time, catching cheaters. This wasn't actually the first case where someone had been caught cheating using the tool. There was, for example, a story on Twitter from 2017 when a woman posted how she tracked her boyfriend driving to a different girl's house and spending time at the location. Anyway, back to the case in France. It said that the 25-year-old man had not been happy that his girl wasn't picking up on Halloween night when they were supposed to be together. She didn't know her location was on, and she wasn't answering her phone, so he resorted to SnapMap. Armed with a knife, he followed its lead and found her sitting in a car with another dude. He argued with the guy before stabbing him in the thigh. And, in a rather weird twist, when arrested and questioned about it, his response was that he was jealous and his violent tendencies, even towards his girl, were because she was the one that, quote, seeks it. Now, like I've already mentioned, Snapchat's response to such situations is pretty much the same. They argue that SnapMap was opt-in and that users could control who saw their location. They say the app only updates location when it's open and that users could enter ghost mode to hide their location entirely. The Lucas Sutton case. His murder was planned on Snapchat by his quote-unquote friends. Now imagine this. Being lured out for drinks by people you once called friends, then they turn out to be the same people that make sure you never get back home. As scary as it sounds, that was the reality for Lucas Sutton, a 22-year-old father from Croydon, UK. He lost his life in a brutal, premeditated attack that was planned through Snapchat. Now, like I said, Lucas wasn't a stranger to the people who ended up taking his life. In fact, he used to be friends with one of them, but that friendship had turned fatal. According to police, Lucas had tried to get rid of a gun he was holding onto for the group, which they interpreted as him being a traitor. On the night of May 21, 23, 2023, Lucas had met up with Keon Williams, age 21, and Kai Nelson Palmer, age 17, and they walked together to a local shop to buy drinks, seemingly casual like nothing was wrong. But what Lucas didn't know was that his two so-called friends had been plotting to attack him for days, messaging back and forth on Snapchat. As they walked back, Williams pulled out a knife and stabbed Lucas. In reaction, Lucas dropped the drinks and ran, but both attackers chased after him. Williams, who was faster, caught up and stabbed him again. In a desperate attempt to survive, Lucas then ran into a local pub, begging for help, before collapsing on the floor. He later died in the hospital. In April of 2024, both Williams and Nelson Palmer were convicted of murder. Williams received a life sentence with a minimum term of 23 years. Nelson Palmer, being younger, got a minimum of 16 years. A third man, 19 years old, was acquitted. It was also clear that Lucas, who left behind a young son, feared for his life in the weeks before the attack. Friends and family had, for example, noticed he had grown distant and anxious. He had even confided that he had, quote, upset people and felt unsafe. The Kyle Wally case. His killer posted his body on Snapchat like a trophy. On July 11th of 2021, 19-year-old Kyle Wally...
Oh, that's wild work. Nigga, post the body like a trophy. Like an award, like he won something. No, that's actually sick. That nigga is sick.
Invited his friend over to watch the Euro 2020 final. And maybe as any typical friend would, he was expecting football, some drinks, and a chill evening. What he got instead was nothing close. He met violence and death. And his body posted on Snapchat like a trophy by the killer, 20-year-old Mark Jones. Now, like I said, Mark was his friend. The two had known each other for a considerable while. So, again, it was really disturbing that Mark even filmed the aftermath and posted it on Snapchat. So, what really happened? Well, first, the location. The attack took place inside Kyle's kitchen in Rosimidir, Wrexham. The two had been watching the England vs. Italy match together, and Snapchat footage shown in the court captured Jones drinking cider and bourbon, joking and making stabbing motions at Kyle's back. A strange thing to do, given that he had even sent messages a day before the murder.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. That nigga would not have been in my house. Nigga get drunk and start pointing a knife at you like that shit funny. Nah, bro. Pick better friends.
With a picture of himself and a cartoon knife captioned, "I'm going to stab you tomorrow." This is actually part of the argument that was had in court.
He dead ass told him that he's gonna stab him, and he invited him over. Bro, this is why people need to pick better friends, or who they hang around. Nigga, all the signs were there. You had the biggest signs. Now, might as well be a damn billboard. And you still was like, yeah, you can come over.
In the premeditated nature of the act, jurors were shown videos after the murder. One had Jones with blood on his hands, looking straight into the camera and saying he stabbed up Kyle and was, quote, going to do time. Another clip showed him stomping on Kyle's lifeless body. More details were that apparently a friend who was on the phone with Kyle during the attack heard him yell, "Put the knife down," followed by screaming and then Jones shouting, "I'm sorry, it's my ADHD." Yup, he tried blaming it on ADHD.
Nigga, what the... I don't think stabbing somebody is a factor of ADHD. I ain't never met somebody with ADHD was like, yeah, I'm finna go stab what's his name down the street because I got ADHD. Nigga tried to blame it on ADHD. Of all things. Not depression, none of ADHD, nigga. Come on now. Fuck out of here.
He also claimed that he acted in self-defense, claiming that Kyle came at him with the knife first. The jury didn't buy it though. On March 16th of 2023, Mark Jones was found guilty. A day later, he was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 16 years and 126 days. And the judge let him have it, calling his actions despicable, and adding that Kyle was killed not out of fear or panic, but just because Jones wanted attention. Sort of like notoriety, just to be seen. That's why he filmed and shared the incident, for views and validation. His exact words, "You filmed and broadcasted images of Kyle clutching his chest and begging you to put the knife down." He then went on about how Kyle collapsed dead on the floor, Mark kicked and stomped on his body, shouting vile things at him. The judge concluded that he was satisfied that Mark did that deliberately because he wanted to be seen humiliating Kyle. The Selena Rodriguez case. Addicted and blackmailed to death. This one took place in Enfield, Connecticut. It involved an 11-year-old girl named Selena Rodriguez, and it started the way a lot of these cases do now through social media, direct messages from strangers, and no meaningful way for a child to navigate it safely. Now, all this began after Selena had just turned 9. This was when she began using Instagram and Snapchat. At first, it looked innocent. Filters, selfies, group chats with classmates, probably like what it is with most teens. But within months, things escalated. Her family noticed she was spending hours a day on her phone, and her mother, Tammy Rodriguez, tried to intervene. She deleted the apps and took her phone away, but Selena would apparently always find a way back. Downloaded the apps again on borrowed phones, used friends' devices, or secretly reinstalled them. Around this time, then came the messages. Strange men were contacting her, and even more disgustingly, some were pressuring her for explicit photos. According to a lawsuit later filed by her mother, Selena unfortunately gave in to the pressure. The images were shared, then circulated. Word got out at school, and then the bullying started. She began being mocked by students, with some calling her names, and the psychological effect was immediate and devastating, and she changed. She began isolating herself, skipping meals, staying up late at night with her phone under the covers. She started showing signs of depression and self. Her mother, who couldn't just stand by and watch, tried to intervene by taking her to therapy, where she got diagnosed with severe social media addiction. However, even with treatment, the pull was just too powerful. Her family described it as a battle they couldn't win. On July 21st of 2021, Selena Rodriguez died by... She was just...
There's no way that social media apps should be this addictive. Like, deadass, there's no way they should be this addictive.
Years old.
They need to open some, like, start a foundation, something like to filter out how addictive these social media platforms are.
Now, like we've seen in some other cases, this led to a wrongful death lawsuit, which was filed in January of 2022 by the Social Media Victims Law Center on behalf of her mother. The suit named both Meta Platforms and Snap Inc. as defendants, accusing them of creating addictive and dangerous platforms that failed to protect minors. It also alleged everything we just saw in the other cases, but also uniquely pointed out that neither platform had effective parental controls or reliable age verification, allowing Selena to open and use accounts without her mother's consent. The lawsuit also cited internal research and whistleblower testimony showing that both Meta and Snap had been warned about the mental health risks associated with their platforms, particularly for young users, but continued to prioritize gross and engagement metrics. Snap Inc. issued a statement expressing condolences and reiterated their investment in safety tools. Meta did not comment publicly on the case. The overdosing teens. Laced pills allegedly from Snapchat dealers. For the most part, you and your parents or teachers, or whoever probably did this too, you all get these warnings about social media and bullies and creeps that are on there, and maybe some dark content. But then, this next case shows the dark side where teens basically have drugs in their face, in an actually insane way. First case is that of Sammy Berman, a 16-year-old described by those around him as smart, sweet, and just a regular teen that loved playing video games upstairs in his room. He also was excited about life, and even had an internship lined up and everything. On the particular day he died, his mom, Dr. Laura Berman, a well-known relationship and sex expert that has even been on programs like Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Oz, said he had been upstairs playing his usual games with friends. Then when she went upstairs to talk with him about his internship, she found him lying on the floor, unconscious and not breathing. It later became apparent that he had taken a pill, what he thought was Xanax, but it wasn't. It was laced with fentanyl, and it unfortunately killed him. And where did he get it? Well, from someone on Snapchat. And that's the part his mom said she couldn't stop thinking about. According to her, she knew Sammy used social media, and she even thought it was helping him stay connected during the pandemic. But she didn't know that drug dealers, allegedly, were also right there on the same platform. Now, the thing is, Sammy wasn't the only one. In fact, it turned out there were about 60 kids that died from fentanyl overdose that they allegedly bought via Snapchat. It became a whole lawsuit that Snapchat had to respond to, and the cases were all grim to some level. For example, around the same time, there's a case of Amy Neville, who on one evening said goodnight to her son Alexander, only 14 at the time, only for it to be the last time he was seen alive. Apparently, the same day, he had opened up to his parents and admitted that he had gotten addicted to oxys, and just like Sammy, he allegedly used to get it through Snapchat. To help, Amy and her husband had immediately planned to send him to treatment, and before that, they said they thought they were doing everything right. I mean, they talked to him, checked his phone, and even turned off the internet at night. So it was a shock that, by the next morning, Alexander was gone. He apparently took one pill that night, which was supposed to be oxy, but it was fentanyl, a laced pill. Now, it would also become clear that Snapchat's disappearing messages made it almost impossible to trace conversations between these kids and alleged dealers, and that the dealers know it. They would, for instance, use emojis and code words to sell pills and sell laced pills while at it. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you think I earned your subscription, make sure to subscribe. If you like the way I...
Shout out to Tub. Go ahead and like and subscribe. That was a crazy video, I'm not gonna lie. Well, that's it for the stream today, Twitch. Shout out to the YouTube.